Welcome back to SL Chennai Speaks Out. Over the past 1 month, there has been a spate of activities relating to increased awareness against child abuse. Now, Sangeeta, is awareness the only way?
I think it's definitely one of the ways, awareness, but I think more than that, there has to be an attitudinal change. I think this whole cultural issue of sexuality needs to be addressed. Many times when children are brought to us with scholastic or emotional abuse or in terms of, some form of psychosomatic complaints, it ends up that the child has been sexually abused,
Right.
So, and then the damage is much more and then, we have to work on that.
Right.
But I think prevention is better.
Andal, we were talking there about some of the myths, that actually surround child sexual abuse. Now, many cases, the parent is actually the abuser. So what happens there? How does a little child deal with it?
A lot of abuse is familial abuse. It could be a parent, it could be a grandfather, an uncle, somebody living in the house. And these are much more difficult to deal with because this whole thing of closing it, not exposing it, the family's name, etc. comes up. But somewhere there is very often a mother who wants help for the child but does not want it to be made public. I think we should accept that issue because our central issue should be taking the child away from the abuser. But in such cases, there's one issue which I think is very central, that the press should not in any way give the identity of this child or even give identifying information. Taking action against the abuser, which is a whole different issue, comes in with a whole range of other issues like police, FIR, the questioning, then evidence, the court case. There's a whole range, but there is the law to intervene.
Right. Usha, what is the role that you think schools can play?
I shall tell you an incident.
Please.
I know a child who's studying in our school who had been abused by her own father, and she's been admitted in our school, and we feel that that's a very safe place because we teachers know what it is like, and she could confide only in us. It could be a protective place because we know we only give parental affection towards those children. We don't seclude them
Right. Let me turn to our counselors here today and ask, how do you think a counselor should actually deal with a situation like this?
See, this is a very delicate issue where the parent, father or uncle or a cousin is involved.
Right.
See, the family cannot split. Then, as Mrs. Andal said, their exposure should not be done, and it's a very sensitive issue where the mother takes the upper hand and she has to be very protective, tell the child how to avoid the concerned person in such a situation, and she could talk to her. And this situation, as I told you, it's going to emotionally upset the whole family and the child as it's growing up.
Right.
So the issue has to be handled very delicately, very secretively, and very positively without any of them being affected.
The child is central. We should do, the family comes next. Protecting the child is first. So we have to protect the child first, even if it affects the family.
Right. So tell us, please, you tell us.
I do come across some kind of issues like that, and totally there was no support for the child. So we totally, fighting with the family to take out from that family, and we have approached CWC, and we've got the child admitted in the institution, and it was a tough, difficult job.
Right. Sir, you have a comment?
Well, it is not at all happening only in the house. She was telling about the father and cousin. In fact, it is happening in the schools also, where this girls' school, where male teachers are there. In fact, we find it very difficult where these male teachers are giving a lot of trouble to the children, where we are sending our daughters to get education from the school. I'm very sorry to tell it is happening by the teachers, by the male teachers. It is happening to our girls also.
Right. The lady here says that it happens even with the female teachers. You want to tell us about that?
Yeah, I think it happens even with the female teachers. It's very sad because, like she was saying, one of the child that she knows who's 7 years old and who's HIV positive was, sexually abused by the teacher because she was making him fist her, and she was, and he had a habit of biting his nails. And so, you know, when he would like
Yes.
fist her, he was HIV positive, and I don't think that
Right.
it's only male-centered.
Male teachers harassing female students in the schools, that ma'am is telling that the school should be transparent regarding the sexual educations, but ma'am, the teachers are doing sexually abusing the students, then ma'am, how could the students children's prevented from these abuses, ma'am?
Right. Isn't that a terrible report card to hear?
Actually, as adult survivors of sexual abuse, you know, when they come and talk about childhood issues, the anger is not so much on the abuser. The anger is on the adult who has not protected them from the abuser. The abuser actually loses face. The father who's been abusing the daughter has grown up today. She leads a fantastic life, but then she's extremely angry with the mother because the mother did not take sides with her, but is trying to protect the father and her own, you know, her safety. And so she's very angry with the mother and not so much with the father.
Right. Andal, tell us. Now, we were looking at those myths, and it said that, you know, we say how the mother didn't know. I mean, do you believe that in every case the mother probably knows?
Most cases, the mother would know in a family if this is happening. It cannot be something, unless she's a very strange mother, because what goes on in the house, she will know, number one. Second, we keep on talking about girls. I must say that out of the studies that have all come up, it's almost an equal number of boys who are being abused. An equal number of boys are being abused. Coming to this thing about schools, I think every school has to have a policy, a child protection policy, like no one child and one teacher cannot be in a room on their own, because then you won't get something which may be a false allegation.
Right.
There are certain things that have to be, there have to be separate toilets, there have to be certain specific rules on what is allowed and what is not allowed. And we also have to have a reporting system. When a child complains, who is going to respond? And then asking for evidence. Now, evidence in this thing is very, very difficult, as we all know.
Right. We have I think you're a student, are you?
I'm Pranav from MCC. I would like to ask that though we are debating about child abuse and sex education, the students who are there in rural areas, they don't even get proper education and proper kind of facilities. How are we going to implement to them, or how it's going to be implemented in today's generation?
Right. Sangeeta, would you like to take that question? Because he's really talking about the rural areas and, you know, places outside of the city, outside our urban centers.
There's no demarcation that it can happen to somebody from low socioeconomic places or high. It cuts across age group, gender, socioeconomic status, or cultural attitudes. So we really don't have any major solutions to this, but I think we can start as prevention programs in schools, educating parents about it, bringing about awareness among children themselves, and talking about it. Sometimes children come and tell us, you know, they come and tell us what has happened, say 5 years back, which they have not divulged to their own parents, you know, and parents are really startled to find out that, you know, the child is comfortable enough to talk to us about.
So where do parents go? Where does a child go with a problem?
One is, many schools don't have school counselors. Sometimes they don't have trained school counselors. That's even worse, you know, because they can do more harm.
Yes.
Because the children go and talk to these counselors, and guess what? It actually goes to the principal. Hello, I mean, like, you know, I mean, there's no confidentiality there. So I think they have to be trained school counselors, and sometimes counseling is done in corridors, in school corridors, because the school does not have the budget, I believe, to take care of a school counselor's salary.
And a private room for the counselor. Ma'am, you want to say something?
No, actually, since we are talking about counselors, I feel schools should have legal counselors as well. Because unless there is a legal consultation, most of the counselors are in-house counselors. So what happens within the school walls. Everything happens just within the four walls. Unless you have a legal psychology involved, you cannot catch these criminals. All the people who are abusing are criminals left at loose. If you take the case of Maninder Kohli, he has gone to the best school, Bishop Cotton, gone to the best college, Lady Sri Ram, and he's been a wonderful father. That's what his wife has been telling his son. But when he has killed almost 23, 43 Nitari killings, then things have surfaced upon. Then what happens to his psychology? What's wrong with the chromosomes? Unless you analyze the legal psychology of every criminal, every abuser is a criminal at large.
Right. Sir, you'd like to say something?
Before I make a point, I would like to put forward the statistics. The number of percentage of people who are abused, child who are abused, seems to be 82% are their parents or guardians. So looking at these statistics, we cannot rely on parents or the guardians to take up the responsibility, and school can also be a deterrent here. So looking at these options, I feel that we can take a clue from the United States. You take a child, and in case the child is abused, the child knows, I'll call 911, and 911 responds to it. Whether it's a crank call or a real issue, they don't care. They just want to make sure the child is safe. For us, does our child know which number to call in case of crisis? Do they really know about that? I don't think so. This has to be done at the school level. Maybe media can take an example from the United States, where April 2009 was considered Child Abuse Month, and they were presented with various means on fighting child abuse. So media can help, school can help. We need a centralized system which can really fight this. It cannot be one person, it has to be a system.
Right, thank you for that. Now, how does a child or a parent, in your opinion, deal with something like this after it's happened? We've talked about what kind of thing happens. Now it's happened. What next, in your experience?
Actually, what I feel is, one is we have to create a space to listen to the issues and concerns of the children. I think we are limiting the space to listen to the concerns and the issues of the children. That's one of the biggest problem now we are facing, because we are busy people, family members also, they don't spend enough time to listen to the children. And second is also the village setup. They say that village protects the children. It takes the village to protect the children. And then we should create a space in the village also. Like we have also created a space like a children collective, where the children come together. This is not only the school, the out of school space, where children come together, think, and then where the self-esteem is built, confidence is built. And then they also share their concerns and
But
issues.
Dominic, what if the parents don't actually let the child go to this, it's very utopian idea. As a parent, supposing you say, no, you're not going there, I'm sorry, what are you going to talk about? What's happening there? I need to know. How are you going to deal with that then?
No, it's all the approach that we are taking. It's all how we are going to convince the parents. It's not straight we'll talk about the sex abuse issue. We will start with the health issue, where the parents will get convinced of it.
Okay, right.
And then hygiene issue.
Right.
Then move to the other issues. And
Fair enough. Sangeeta, I'd like to ask you, tell us about the actual stigma. What is it? Why are we so worried? Why are we so nervous? Why are we so scared about speaking out? How can we ever remove the stigma surrounding this whole issue?
I think we just need to start feeling comfortable talking about mental health issues for starters, We wouldn't wait with a fracture for 5 years, would we? We wouldn't wait with a bleeding gum for 3 years, would we? We wouldn't. We would seek help immediately if there is a physical pain. When there is an emotional pain, when there is sexual abuse or anything which is stigmatized, we refuse to seek help. In fact, most of them come after several years. First, either they are in denial, they think the problem does not exist. When they able to think logically and they grow up to be adults, they do realize there is a problem, and that's when they actually seek help. So I think at one end, where if we can sensitize the public and bring about awareness about mental health issues itself on one end, and try and say that help seeking, there's nothing wrong in seeking help if there is a mental health issue, I think would help on a larger context.
Let me ask the audience here. Would you be nervous if something happened, say to your child or somebody to actually come out and speak about it? How would you feel that there's going to be a stigma attached to you and to your family, to your child perhaps? Would you be able to speak out? Don't tell me as a counselor, tell me as a person, as a woman.
I don't think I'll get scared of it. I'll definitely talk out.
Because you're a counselor perhaps.
Yeah.
I'd like a parent to tell me. Ma'am, you tell me.
Yeah. First, though we have that tension or that eagerness to know what has happened in mind, but I will never, if such a situation comes, God forbid, and it should not come, but in case if it comes, then I'll never show any emotion on my face, that scary emotion or that eagerness. I'll just coolly make her relax first.
then I'll ask what had happened. I may go even more deeper as to what had happened practically. I could even ask, and first I'll make her set her mind that there's nothing going to happen. I mean, even more worse than that. Things will go better tomorrow, and and as you know that every problem has a solution. So the solution ends up only there. We have a lot of solutions, either medical ailments or whatever, or emotional. First, at this point of time, a child needs emotional and mental encouragement. And we need to help, even a father should behave as a friend at that point of time. Forget that we are parents for a certain time. And the parents should behave as a friend. And then we need to, first the mother should have that opportunity to get all the information from the child.
Well,
and let the father not involve in this, because the child certainly feels a kind of indifference to express her emotions. A father should never involve in this. And it's only the mother who need to pass the information to the father. And second thing is, let us give some preventive measures. Rather, anything happens first. Before that only, we need to give some preventive measures as to what can be done for a child when she's prone to such situation. And after she comes and tell us, let us give a solution and let us do everything in private.
So at least we have one mother here who's willing to take care of the stigma, and she actually believes that she will come out and speak. Thank you for your comments. Well, any form of child abuse is completely unacceptable. When protectors become abusers, then children, of course, are the silent sufferers. And we owe it to them to do whatever is possible, to break that scourge of child abuse. If there are any other issues that you feel strongly about, and even about this issue, then please write to us at feedback@ndtv-hindu.com, or just pick up your phone and call us. 99-413-2222 or 044-4290-7777. Thank you very much for watching us here on SL Chennai Speaks Out. We'll be back with you next week. Goodbye for now.